The National Archery in the Schools program is a popular program nationally and in North Dakota. We're visiting with Education Coordinator Jeff Long to go over the NASP program and talk about the upcoming state tournament. I'm Mike Anderson with the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. Jeff, explain what the National Archery in the Schools program is.
Okay, the National Archery in the Schools program is an archery program designed to be delivered in a classroom, typically in a PE setting for kids in grades 4 through 12. And then there, of course, is a whole after-school component and competitive aspect to it as well.
Give us a little background on NASP in North Dakota.
So NASP in North Dakota started in 2004. And it ran for a number of years before we really got into the competitive aspect of it. And then sooner or later, just natural progression. Coaches and kids wanted to start competing and started holding, their own little meets and things. And that again naturally just kind of turned into having a state tournament and it building into quite a thing.
How many schools participate in the NASP program?
It's been implemented in over 200 schools in North Dakota. Nationwide, I think it's in like the 17,000, 18,000 mark.
Jeff, is there a reason the program is so successful on a national level and in North Dakota?
Yeah, there's several reasons that kind of came together. One of them is archery is kind of a natural thing that's just fun to do. It's different. It's not your typical ball sport. You have kids that can shoot a basketball, spike a football, those kind of things. But it's also appealing to pretty much every other kid in the school can do it. In addition to that, the way they design the training for the program, it's the same here, in Florida, in New Hampshire. It doesn't matter where it is, the training's exactly the same, the format's the same, the language is the same. So anywhere you go, if a kid transfers from one school to another in North Dakota and they have NASP, or they come in from another state that had NASP and they end up in a school that has it, they can do it too. They have universal equipment, so all kids are using the same stuff. The same $115 bow and the same couple dollar arrow is what they use. So it's cheap for the school, it's cheap for the individual, but they're also using the same stuff, so it's a level playing field. You don't have the tendency for, in a lot of different disciplines and sports, to the person with the best equipment has the edge. In this one, you have to develop your own skills. And finally, within that training piece as well, you have a safety protocol that is, second to none. So it has a perfect safety record over 20 years running now.
Very disciplined.
Very disciplined, yes.
They respond to whistles, they have to stand behind lines.
Yep, there's lines, there's whistles, and it's just amazing when you see these kids respond to those whistles. If you happen to blow the wrong one at the wrong time, they won't move. They know something ain't right. And very well trained, the teacher, and that all comes back again to that standardized training that has been kept very simple and delivered the same way all the time. So everyone's got the same message, everyone's doing the same thing.
Jeff, over 200 schools, or nearly 200 schools, participate in North Dakota in the program, but there's also grants available for schools that are interested in getting into the program.
Yeah, it's amazing. When I talk to a school, and it may not even be at a school, it could be at a basketball game or something, some other thing that drove someone to say, hey, you're the guy that does archery for the schools, right? And I talk to these. It's amazing, or a call I get in at the office here that someone that didn't know it existed, and for me that's hard to imagine because there are. Almost half our schools are doing it already. You figure someone has heard of it by now. But yes, there are still schools that aren't doing it, maybe haven't heard of it, and we'd like to grow the program even more. I mean, ideally, let's have all the schools doing it. But so we have grants available to help with the equipment. If you're getting the grant, we put together a training, bring you in and train all your staff, and that is actually, the training's actually free. And as long as they're delivering the program, that training lasts forever.
Jeff, just like all the other activities, basketball, football, volleyball, there's a state tournament, there's regional tournaments. Let's talk about the regional tournaments and then go into the state tournament.
Sure, so there's a couple different scenarios. There's been a kind of a new thing going where schools are getting together and holding duels where it's just one school versus the other, kind of a bragging rights, local, county kind of, back and forth type of thing. And then there are also local, or you could call them regional tournaments. They don't necessarily funnel into the state tournament, but they're regional in the sense that they're happening all over the state. And that's basically where a school decides, hey, we're going to host a tournament and we're going to put it out there for all the other NASP schools to attend. And yeah, they're running from the beginning of January all the way up until the state tournament. Just about every weekend you can find one, if not two or three.
What all goes on at the state tournament? Explain that.
There are actually 3, or you could even say 4 different events or disciplines that are all running simultaneously. We have the NASP Bullseye. That was the original program. It's the biggest aspect of the program, and that's your Olympic style target, the one everyone's familiar with the yellow, red, blue rings, concentric rings that go out from the target. Then you have the 3D competition. 3D is a foam animal replicas that the kids shoot at. Then there's also varsity archery. And within varsity archery, there's 2 separate disciplines. Same thing. There's a 3D for them, totally different 3D animals and different scoring. And then they also have their own paper face kind of traditional target style shooting as well. So there's actually 4 things running all at the same time.
There's also scholarships that are presented at the state tournament as well.
Yeah, so a number of years ago, NASP came up with a scholarship program whereby if a state could fundraise or have a cost share, they would match that up to $10,000. This year they've announced they're going to go up to $15,000. We work with a nonprofit organization called the North Dakota Archery Advisory Council, who developed basically as a nonprofit to develop and increase NASP participation. And one of their big things was it had to be a nonprofit that delivers the money and does the fundraising. So they did that specifically or with the intent partially of doing this fundraising for this scholarship. So they have decided they're going to go ahead with the $15,000, which means we're going to be giving away over, and they're going to put in some of their own money that's not matched. So we're going to be giving away over $30,000 in college scholarships this year.
Where can they use the scholarship money?
Okay, well, the nice thing about NASP is they decided they wanted to have kids be able to use this regardless of whether they're going to a university, a local trade school, something along those lines. So as long as it's some form of higher education, they can use the scholarship money there.
Academic archers. Explain that.
So NASP being from the beginning being a school program, it's based out of the school. They really wanted to put a focus on academics and tie those two together. So you have the scholarships that we talked about, but also they have a program called Academic Archer. Academic Archer is a special recognition for the kids. We bring them up and they get a patch and they get a sticker and a certificate. We also bring them up and recognize them in front of the audience at the state tournament for having a certain level of academic achievement at their school. The school decides what that level is. It's not set by NASP. NASP is very strong about letting local jurisdictions, local schools make a lot of their own rules, and this is one of those times.
The North Dakota Bowhunters Association and other volunteers, they're critical to making sure the state tournament is a success every year.
Yeah, the North Dakota Bowhunters Association sends a lot of their membership up to help us. In addition, they've been financially helpful. They contribute to the scholarship fund. They've been a big project partner with the NASP program since the beginning.
Jeff, when and where is the state tournament in North Dakota this year?
So the state tournament happens in Minot, North Dakota, once again at the State Fair Center, March 15th and 16th, which is a Friday, Saturday.
Okay. If somebody wants to participate in the state tournament, Jeff, how can they sign up?
Okay, so the procedure for getting registered for the tournament is, of course, the kid has to be participating in NASP. They have to be a school that does NASP. Their coach, who's certified, has to go into the system and register them for the tournament.
A lot of great information, Jeff. Thank you.
Yep.